I had been counting down the days to our family dinner, then I saw the photos. Everyone was there except me. I called my brother, he laughed, haha, we forgot. My stomach dropped. I hung up without another word. Soon they finally understood what they done. I stared at my phone, the laughter in Steven's voice still ringing in my ears. Haha, we forgot, like it was nothing, like I was nothing. I put my phone down, my fingers slightly trembling. The screen was still open to Facebook, where my aunt had just posted a series of family dinner photos, bright smiles, clicking glasses, warm lights, illuminating the familiar dining room of my parents' house. Everyone was there, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, my parents, even some distant relatives. I barely spoke to everyone except me. I swallowed hard. My stomach felt hollow, like I had been punched in the gut. This wasn't just some casual get-together. This was the family dinner, the one I had been looking forward to for weeks. Just a few days ago, I had been talking to my mom about it. You'll be there, right? I had asked her on the phone, excitement bubbling in my voice. Of course, sweetheart, she had said, not missing a beat. It'll be so nice to have everyone together. You work so hard. We all miss you. Her words had made me smile. For once I actually felt wanted. I had even bought gifts for my parents, planning to surprise them with something nice, just a small thank you for hosting. I had spent extra time picking out something for Steven too, despite knowing he probably wouldn't get me anything in return, because that's what family does, right? I guess that didn't apply to me. I scrolled through the pictures again, trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was an old event. Maybe they hadn't meant to exclude me, but the timestamps on the photos shattered those hopeful thoughts. The dinner happened yesterday. I had been home alone last night, curled up with a book, thinking only a few more days until the dinner, and yet there they were, laughing, eating, celebrating without me. They hadn't forgotten, they just hadn't cared enough to include me. My fingers hovered over my phone for a few seconds before I made the call. I shouldn't have. I should have let it go, pretended it didn't matter, but something inside me needed to hear it. I dialed Steven's number. He picked up after 2 rings. Yo, what's up? I didn't bother with small talk. My voice came out tight, controlled. Was the family dinner yesterday? There was a beat of silence, just 1 second. Oh, Che, yeah, we kind of forgot to invite you. Laughter, actual laughter, not nervous laughter, not remorseful laughter. It was the kind of laugh that said he didn't think it mattered, like the thought of me not being there was just a footnote in his night. You forgot, I repeated. Yeah, Steven said, still grinning through the phone. Oops, that was it. Oops, like accidentally spilling a drink, like missing a text. I felt my chest tighten, my fingers gripping the phone so hard that my knuckles turned white. I could have asked more questions, I could have yelled, I could have demanded answers, but suddenly I didn't want them. I already knew what this was. It wasn't an accident. They had planned a whole dinner, they had set a date, they had invited everyone, and not a single person thought about me, not one. My mouth felt dry. I let out a small breath, then very deliberately hung up. No goodbye, no argument, no second chances, just silence. I sat there for a long moment, staring at the phone in my lap. I could still hear Steven's laugh in my mind. The worst part wasn't even that they had forgotten, it was that they didn't care. I wasn't family to them, not in the way that mattered. I was just the responsible one, the one who sent money when they needed it, the one who helped out, but never truly belonged. I was useful until I wasn't, and this dinner, this was proof. They had everything they wanted: food, drinks, laughter, and I had been irrelevant. I could have sent them hundreds of dollars, bought them lavish gifts, and they still wouldn't have remembered to call me. Something inside me cracked. The turning point. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. Instead, I reached for my phone. One last time I looked at the photos again, the ones where they looked so happy, so full, so content, that then, without hesitating, I closed the app. Went to my banking app, and I did something I had never done before. I stopped Steven's monthly payment. It was automatic. It had been for years. Every month, I sent him a few hundred to cover his rent, his bills, whatever he needed, and yet this same person who was living off my generosity hadn't even thought to text me. It was so easy. A few taps, confirm, done. I exhaled for the first time in years. I felt like not angry, not bitter, just free. I didn't reach out to my family. I didn't text my mom to ask why she hadn't told me. I didn't ask my dad if he had even noticed my absence. I just waited, and it didn't take long, because a few days later my phone buzzed. A new message from my mom. Hey sweetheart, hope you're doing okay. Steven is having a tough time with money again. Could you send him something this month? I stared at the screen, my lips curling into a small knowing smile. The words came to me easily. Ask him why he forgot to invite me to dinner. I didn't send it, said. I just closed the chat and let them wonder. I didn't respond to my mother's text. I just let them sit with it. Maybe for the first time they would start to wonder why I wasn't answering, or maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they'd brush it off, like always, like I was just being moody or overreacting. Either way, I didn't care. For the first time in my life, I felt no urge to fix things, no guilt, no pressure to smooth things over. Instead, I just let myself think not about the dinner, not about Steven's laugh, not about my mother's latest guilt trip, but about how we got here. I had spent my entire life being the good one, the one who followed the rules, the one who worked hard, who made smart choices. And what did I get for it? Not respect, not even basic kindness, just expectations. Childhood, the golden boy, and the invisible girl growing up. My parents only had one priority, Steven. I don't mean they outright neglected me, but when you grow up in a family where one person is always the center of attention, you learn very quickly that you're just background noise. Steven was the fun one, the wild one. If he got in trouble at school, my mother would march down there and yell at the teachers, insisting that they were singling him out unfairly. If I got an A on a test, she would barely glance at it. That's nice, honey. Did you help Steven with his homework? Everything was about him, even when he messed up. My parents bent over backwards to defend him when he stole money from my dad's wallet as a teenager. He's just a kid. He didn't mean it. When he got caught cheating on a test, that teacher always had it out for him. When he crashed his first car, well, it wasn't his fault. The roads were slippery. I learned early on that Steven could do no wrong. Me, I was the afterthought. By the time we were teenagers, I had a part-time job, saved my money, and planned for my future. Steph, he barely worked and blew through cash like it was nothing. I remember one time, I must have been 16, I saved up for months to buy myself a used laptop. I needed it for school, and I was so proud that I had paid for it myself. Then one day I came home and found Steven using it. What are you doing? I had asked, heart pounding. He had just shrugged, barely looking up. Mom said I could borrow it. I checked the laptop. He had downloaded games, changed my settings, and even deleted some of my files. When I went to my parents, furious, they waved me off. Rachel, don't be so selfish. He just wanted to use it for a little while I had worked for months to afford that laptop. Steven took it over in a day, and somehow I was the problem. By the time we were in our 20s, the pattern was set. I went to college on a scholarship, worked hard, and landed a high-paying job in finance. Even well, he dropped out of college after a year and bounced from job to job, and yet somehow he was still their priority. Whenever he lost a job, my mom would call me. Rachel, sweetheart, Steven having a tough time. Can you help him out? First I did. I paid his rent a few times, covered some of his bills. Wasn't because I loved him so much, it was because I still believed, stupidly, that if I kept helping, if I kept giving, maybe they would finally see me. That never happened. Instead, the more I gave, the more they expected. Every time I visited, the favoritism was still obvious. Steven lost a job. Oh honey, jobs are tough right now. If I got a promotion, that's nice, but don't work too hard, okay? Nothing I did mattered. I could be the most successful person in the world, and they would still see Steven as the one who needed love and support. Me, I was just there to pick up the pieces. As I sat there thinking about it all, I finally understood. The family dinner wasn't some freak accident. They didn't forget me. They just didn't think about me at all. I wasn't one of them, not in the way that mattered. I was useful until I wasn't, but this time something was different. This time I wasn't just accepting it. I had already cut Steven off financially. No, I wasn't going to make excuses for them anymore. I wasn't going to beg for their love or try to prove my worth. I was going to let them feel my absence, and maybe, just maybe, for the first time, they'd regret it. A few days later, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't my mom, it was my aunt, the same one who had posted the family dinner photos. Rachel, I just realized I didn't see you at dinner. Were you out of town? I stared at the message, my heart pounding. I hadn't been out of town. I had been waiting for an invitation that never came. I took a slow breath and typed my reply. No, I wasn't. I guess they just forgot about me. I hit send, and just like that, the first crack in their perfect little world appeared. They had forgotten me, but soon they were the ones who would be left out. I didn't expect much to come from my aunt's message. Maybe she'd shrug it off. Maybe she'd accept whatever excuse my mom gave her. But something told me this was different. For the first time, someone outside of my immediate family noticed I was missing, and that changed everything. The first signs of a shift. A few hours after I sent that text, my phone buzzed again. Another message from my cousin Emma. Hey Rachel, I was just talking to Aunt, and she said you weren't at the family dinner. What happened? I stared at the message, my pulse quickening. Emma and I had never been super close, but we had always gotten along, and she was asking, which meant people were talking. I debated my response. I could have played it cool, brushed it off, said, oh, I just couldn't make it, but no, not this time. So instead I wrote I wasn't invited, and then after a pause I added I only found out about it when I saw the photos on Facebook. I hit send. Less than a minute later, she replied, wait, what, are you serious? That doesn't make any sense. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I had planted the seed. Now I just had to let the truth do the rest. I should have Known it wouldn't take long for my mom to catch wind of what was happening the next morning, I woke up to a voicemail. Her voice was sickly sweet, the kind of tone she used when she was pretending nothing was wrong. Rachel, sweetheart, I heard you've been telling people you weren't invited to dinner. That's not true, honey. It must have just been a miscommunication. I'm sure we mentioned it at some point. Maybe you forgot. Anyway, let's not make a big deal out of this. Call me back, okay? Love you. I rolled my eyes and deleted the voicemail. A miscommunication. She really thought she could just rewrite history like that. I hadn't forgotten anything. They had made zero effort to include me, and now that people were questioning them, she wanted to gaslight me into pretending it never happened. Not this time. By the end of the week, the family group chat was on fire. I hadn't said anything in it, but other people had, or my aunt. I still don't understand how Rachel didn't know about the dinner. Who was in charge of inviting everyone? Emma. Yeah, that's really weird. It's not like she lives far away or anything. IIA cousin. Honestly, if that happened to me, I'd be pissed. Every time someone questioned it, my mom tried to brush it off. It was just to mix up. No big deal. Rachel's always so busy. We assume she couldn't come. She's making this into a bigger deal than it is. But the more she tried to downplay it, the worse it looked, because the truth was simple. They had excluded me, and now people knew it. A few nights later, my dad called. Not my mom, my dad. That almost never happened. I debated ignoring it, but curiosity won out. Hello, Rachel. Hey. He cleared his throat. Listen, your mom's been really upset. She thinks you're trying to turn the family against her. I almost laughed. I haven't done anything, I said. I just told the truth. But you're making things harder than they need to be. You know how your mother is. She doesn't like drama. I let out a slow breath. Dad, I said carefully, why weren't you the one to call me and invite me to dinner? Silence. He hesitated. I just assumed your mom had taken care of it. That told me everything. He hadn't even thought about it, not once, and now that it was blowing up in their faces, he wanted me to help clean up the mess. I'm not fixing this for her, I said flatly. She did this to herself. And then, before he could try to guilt trip me, I hung up. The next day I got a text from Steven for the first time since the dinner incident. Yo, why is mom freaking out? I smirked at my phone. I had been waiting for this. I typed back, I don't know, maybe she finally realized I'm not just a paycheck. A full 5 minutes passed before he responded, wait. Is this about you not sending me rent money? Dude, are you serious? You're really going to be petty over a dinner? I took my time before replying. I gave you money for years, and the one time I was looking forward to something you couldn't even remember to text me. Another long pause, then finally, come on, it wasn't that deep. I almost laughed out loud. I didn't even bother answering. I just put my phone down and let him sweat. Over the next few days, things only got worse for them. One by one, more relatives started to see the truth. My mom's excuses weren't working anymore. Steven's entitlement was turning people against him. I stayed quiet. I didn't argue. I didn't plead my case. I just let them destroy their own reputations. And that's when it happened. My aunt, the same one who had posted the dinner photos, sent me a message. Rachel, I just wanted you to know I don't agree with what happened. It wasn't fair, and I'm really sorry you were treated that way. I felt something in my chest loosen. For the first time, someone acknowledged it. Someone saw me, and that was worth more than any apology from my mom ever could be. By the end of the month, everything had shifted, and my mom was on the defensive, trying to convince people she hadn't done anything wrong. Steven was struggling financially, and now no one felt bad for him. And my dad stopped trying to mediate when he realized I wasn't budging, and I had finally won, not by yelling, not by fighting, but by doing nothing at all. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the one left out. They were. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the one begging for acceptance. I wasn't the one desperate to be included. I wasn't the one giving and giving, hoping they'd finally see my worth. But this time they were the ones being left out, and I was just watching it happen. A week after my aunt's message, I got a call from another cousin, Daniel. We hadn't talked in a while, but there was no small talk. Rachel, what the hell happened with your parents? I played dumb. What do you mean? I mean, why weren't you at the dinner? I thought maybe you had work or something, but then Emma told me you weren't invited. I let out a slow breath, keeping my voice even. Yeah, I wasn't. That's messed up, he muttered. And now mom's pissed because your mom is acting like you just decided not to come. She's making herself look bad. I smirked to myself because that was exactly the problem. My mom wasn't upset that she had hurt me. She was upset that people knew about it. But while my mom was scrambling to save face, Steven was dealing with something far worse. His bank account was empty. For years, I had been his safety net. Every time he blew his paycheck on dumb purchases, I was there. Every time he was late on rent, I was there. Every time he needed help, I was there. Not anymore. And it didn't take long for him to start panicking. A few days later, he showed up At my apartment, I hadn't seen him in person since before the family dinner incident, and I wasn't exactly thrilled to see him now. I opened the door, raising an eyebrow. "What do you want?" Steven sighed, dramatically shoving his hands in his pockets. "Can we talk?" I folded my arms. "We are talking." He shifted uncomfortably. "I know you're mad about the dinner thing." "Mad?" I cut him off, tilting my head. "I'm not mad, Steven. I just finally see things clearly." He blinked, clearly not expecting that. "Well, whatever," he muttered, "but I'm in a tight spot right now. Rent's due in a few days, and I was wondering if you could help me out." I just stared at him for a second. I almost laughed, because he really didn't get it. "Let me get this straight," I said slowly. "You didn't even think about when planning the family dinner. You weighed in my face when I found out, and now you're here asking for money." Steven's jaw tensed. "Rachel, come on, you know how things are for me. Mom and Dad don't have the money to help. You're the only one who know." He blinked. "What? No," I repeated. "Figure it out yourself." His face darkened. "Wow, seriously, you're actually doing this?" "Doing what?" I asked, tilting my head. "Treating you exactly how you treated me." His mouth opened, then closed. For the first time, he looked genuinely unsure of what to say. "Rachel, we family," he tried. I smiled, told, unbothered. "Funny," I said. "That's not what you thought when you forgot to invite me." And with that, I closed the door in his face. I knew that wouldn't be the end of it. Steven might have been too stubborn to apologize, but my mom, she wasn't going to let her perfect family image fall apart without a fight. So of course she called, and for once I answered. "Rachel, sweetheart," she started, her voice full of forced warmth. "I heard Steven stopped by. He said you weren't very nice to him." I let out a short laugh. "Yeah, well, Steven wasn't very nice to me either. Guess we're even." "Rachel, please don't be petty. He's struggling right now, and I'm not," I said bluntly. "That's the problem, right? You don't actually care about me. You just care about what I can do for you." "That's not true," she insisted. "You're my daughter. I love you." "Really?" I asked. "Then why didn't you invite me to dinner?" Silence, a long, heavy silence. Then she tried again. "Rachel, honey, it was just a misunderstanding. We never meant to hurt you." "I was done. You did hurt me, and now that people know about it, you're trying to fix your reputation, not our relationship. That's not fair." "No, what's not fair is how I spent my whole life being the responsible one, the one who always helped, and the moment I wasn't useful to you, you left me out." Another silence, a real one this time. "See you." She knew I was right. "I have to go," I said, "and don't bother calling me when Steven needs money again. That's not my problem anymore." And then I hung up. My parents tried to cover their tracks. They tried to explain it away to the rest of the family, but it was too late. The damage was done, and my extended family saw the truth as Steven lost his financial safety net, and my parents' favoritism was exposed, and I was fine, no better than fine. For the first time in my life, I wasn't chasing their approval. I wasn't begging for scraps of love. I wasn't waiting for an invitation that would never come. Instead, I was choosing myself. And the best part, they were the ones who had to live with the consequences. A few months later, I got another text from my aunt. "We're having a little get-together next weekend. Hope you can make it." I stared at the message, my chest feeling warm. "Welcomed. Who else is coming?" I asked. She listed a few cousins, some aunts and uncles, but notably not my parents, not Steven. I smirked. They had burned their bridges, and now they were the ones being left out. I typed my response, "I'll be there." For the first time, it wasn't their family dinner, it was mine.